did not do anything short of deliver one spectacular final.
Who is going to be crowned World Cup champ?
He needs to get perfection. He needs to get first place. It all comes down to this moment. Real question right now, who is on top?
Welcome everybody, thanks for joining us. It's right, it's the FIS World Series 2018 and we are live here in Chengdu, China. Thank you so much for joining us from around the world. I am Ryan Meyer and none other than Daryl Now.
Ryan, it's a big honor to be here, not only with you, but the thousands of fans pouring into Chengdu, China for our fourth and final stop as we went around the world bringing the biggest and best action sports to the people for the athletes. It's so exciting to be here.
I'm absolutely amazed at the crowd and as well at all the athletes that have come out here to compete today. Right now, it's about the mountain bike slopestyle finals. We're about to get this underway. We have an amazing course shaped up here and we are in a new park. We are just west of the Chengdu city in the Xingshui Park region. It's in the Podium district. If you guys are in the location of Chengdu, make sure you come out. It's day number 3 right now. We still have one more day of amazing activities. We have a big one packed right here. The top mountain bike slopestyle professionals is the gold stop on the FMB World Series. So make sure you guys watch this one. It's going to be an amazing activity. What do you think so far of this course, Daryl?
Yeah, right now we're taking a little bit of a view of the course. These are enormous jumps. You can see to scale by the size of the people in the background that most of these jumps, you start from a 25-foot tall roll-in. Those landings are over 15 feet tall, and some of those jumps are actually 7 to 10 feet. That's 2 to 3 meters in height. But right now you see on the screen, that's right in the middle of the course. That is a hip feature with a wooden takeoff and wooden landing. That actually has one of the steeper landings. It's going to be, in my opinion, kind of a decision maker, deal breaker on the course because riders are going to have to be very precise landing on that, where the other jumps that are on the course, the 2 hits before the hip and the one after, are a lot more forgiving as far as the landing steepness. So if a rider necessarily doesn't get his trick perfect, he lands a little bit lower, he still can keep that speed going and flowing through and keep going. But if he lands really flat on that hip, he's going to have some difficulty.
That's definitely right. Something that you have to watch is that hip. That's going to be kind of a make it or break it. If one of the riders is able to trick that with a very difficult trick and keep his flow and momentum going, he's definitely going to score much better with the judges on that. Rolling through into the format of how this broke down, we're already in the finals. What's happened so far?
Yeah, we have 12 riders who qualified from our semi. We're doing them in reverse order. They're going to have 2 runs on the course. It is going to be a best run that counts. But then we have a super final where our top 6 riders will get, I guess if you like to call it a bonus run, where they have an opportunity to up their score. So by the numbers, 12 riders, 2 runs per rider. It's going to be the best run that counts. And then you see right in the center of the screen, the super final, where riders will have an opportunity to roll the dice out there and try to up the ante for one more run. But if you're in that top 6 spot, you earned that position because we had our qualification, our semifinals, and we cut the pack down to our top 12 that will be riding today.
It's a jam-packed heat, and of course this is an FMB gold stop. That means we don't have any, let's say, amateurs out here. The list is stacked with a massive amount of professional athletes from around the globe. We have Canadians, Americans, all over Europe, and as well we have the Asian countries in here to compete on a professional level.
Yeah, Ryan, it's exciting that we do have the Free Ride Mountain Bike World Tour going on. Normally these events are found in a natural terrain, but FIS, working hand in hand with the FMB, was able to bring this course to an urban environment. It's so cool to have the juxtaposition where you see the buildings in the background.
Right now you see on course we have our judges right there. There's Alex Dropsy on the right, Paul Rack, followed by Nicolas Berthier, and then as well Grant Fielder right there on the left. So Grant Fielder, I used to watch all his parts in the UK as I was growing up. We were watching Neural Disorder, all that. Paul Rack has been flown out here from Vancouver, actually. He's a huge delegate on the FMB World Series. Of course, Alex Dropsy and Nicolas Berthier. say, come from a BMX background, but they have been on the FMB World Series doing judges for many, many years, as well as on the FIS World Series.
Yeah, Ryan, a lot of the roots do come from BMX as far as some of the tricks go that we're going to see. So it's good that our judges have the rich history, not only from the start to where we are now, but they're going to be looking for amplitude, difficulty, variety of tricks, progression, risk-taking, and style.
Let's take a look at some of our riders. Right there we have Simon Pages, Thomas Stead, Victor Doan, and Alex Elanco. So 2 Swedes right there. Big competition for these athletes pushing forward. One of the top French riders, Paul Coudair right there, followed by Lucas Huppert from Switzerland, Josh Holt, who has been, if you were watching the FIS series in the past, you maybe know him from Canada Stop, but he has been claiming it this year as well. Braden Barrett-Hay right there, Thomas Lemont, amazing French athlete, Paul Genovese from Canada as well, Lucas Knopf, German's top slopestyle rider right there, and Timothy Bringer from France as well. So this is a nice one to see Timothy push forward and make it into the finals.
Yeah, I mean, this is a stacked heat right here. As we said, this is the Freeride Mountain Bike World Tour. This is a gold event, so there's a lot of potential points on the line for our riders. You can see the full start list right there. They're going to be racked in reverse order from our semifinal.
So right now you see Simon Pages on course right now at the very top of that large drop-in, getting ready to start things off big in the morning here in Chengdu. And big it is, 360 bar spin right off that step down.
What? Double tail whip, kicking the back end around. You see the 360 tail whip. Now this is the first look at the hip we're talking about. Bar spin, landing nice and high, getting the pump with a 360 bar spin one way to a bar spin back. Pages out there is setting the tone and setting the standard. Again, this is going to be a best run format that counts. So basically our judges are going to be giving a score from 1 to 100 out there. But the fact that the score is going to be best run counts, this is not an overall impression, so the judges are going to want to see perfection. Now, Ryan, one thing to note, even though this is slopestyle out there, and we know that these are a larger wheelbase and some of these landings are a lot mellower, where it's a little bit harder to keep your speed and momentum through. That's definitely going to be something that the judges want to look for. Are is rider pedaling between sets, or are they able to keep their momentum? But look at that double tail whip, landing nice and high, and here's a look at the 360 with the tail whip. You see he's able to put his body weight forward to grab the pedal smooth and set up for the hip.
It's a nice thing that you say that. Actually, you see the score coming in. That's a very solid 79 even. A good, let's call it, safety run for Simon as he pushes forward. But as you were mentioning, pedaling in between, making sure that you were able to clear those flat bottoms without having any pedals, getting a nice solid pump flowing through that. You're going to notice there are 2 features on course. It's going to be the second straight jump, or pardon me, the first straight jump, which is the second hit on course. You have the step down, and then the first jump after that, that is going to be a huge one. If a rider does not land, he's probably going to throw a very big trick off that. If he does not land at the top of that, he's going to have to pedal. So to keep his momentum up, this will be a huge deduction from the judges. As well, that hip feature. If a rider does not do a perfect trick on that hip feature, he'll have to pedal to make that last jump. So those are 2 big features that are going to help with your flow and fluidity on the judges' points.
Here we go. Tom with a big off-axis backflip. There was no pedal in there, setting up for that super flip, doing the Superman in the backflip.
There was a pedal right in that one though, but going into a beautiful cork 720 right there. Tuck no-hander over the hip and another pedal. Oh my word, he was going for a double flip on that last one for sure. Wow.
Wow, indeed. Look at this. The riders know that it's the final, and it's going to take a big run with big tricks. Thankfully, Tom is able to get up and walk off on his own accord. We talk about it being a best run format that counts. Hopefully, he'll be feeling well enough to take his second run, and this will just be a throwaway. But as you mentioned, if a rider does put a score on the board, it could almost be considered a quote-unquote safety run to get you potentially in that top spot for the super final. Look at that backflip. If you are scratching your head saying, how tall is that drop off? That is over 25 feet with a kicker on top. A lot of guys that are lifelong riders who are competing in our BMX freestyle event were over there, They have not rode on a mountain bike course or slopestyle before, and they are all scratching their heads saying that is enormous, and the mountain bike riders making it look easy with big rotations and flips coming in for the first 2 runs off that big step down.
So Victor Duan coming out of Sweden right there. Rider who we do not see too often, but very nice to see him in the finals here.
So right now, so much of riding is getting in the right headspace as we see Victor setting up with his speed. Ooh, a 360 bar spin, no pedals, into a front flip bar spin.
Ooh, that's a big one. Whoa, already going into a double backflip mid-course there.
Style with the one-footed tabletop. Can he put a nice capper? Yeah,
Wow.
Big cash roll there.
Victor Duan.
That was an enormous run for Victor. I mean, talk about start to end, and he had that style in the middle. You can tell he's definitely psyched on that run if he is touching his heart right there for good reason. This course is enormous out here, and it's so cool that all of our fans are starting to just flood into our park here in Chengdu. It's a little bit early in the morning for our riders and also our fans, and as you know, Ryan, with feasts, as the day progresses, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of fans will come here seeing tricks like Victor with that
was
front flip bar spin.
Run. Into a double backflip, and then as well finishing off with this cash roll, which was almost over-rotated.
Yeah, and the fact that you say over-rotated right there, a lot of riders actually have trouble with the rotation getting it around. It shows how comfortable he is with that spin to get to the landing right there. So we're going to see where his score is. The 79 is the score to beat. And look at this, an 86.
Wow.
So Victor is going to bump up into that top spot right there. As we can still see, though, we have 9 riders who have yet to take the course.
Wow, huge run coming out of the Swede right there, followed by another Swedish rider we've been seeing on the circuit for many years now. Alex Elanco is still young, but has been charging for a long while, and I think he's back for vengeance. He really wants to do well out here in Chengdu.
Last year, Elanco got 8th place in Chengdu. Look at that, the 360 backflip, total commitment right there. Double tail whip with the frame coming around. You see no pedal for that hip, this time kicking a single whip. Adjusting the speed on the waterfall, 360 double bar spin. Big run for Elanco.
So this is what we're starting to see, that the run is going to have to go to perfection if they want to stay on top. Only 3 riders in, and we're noticing the difficulty is at an immense level right now.
Yeah, Ryan, that is such a point we want to hit home. The fact that it is a best run counts. You're going to see riders take more risks out there, whether it be in their first run or maybe if they get a quote-unquote safety run score in, so that hopefully they'll be in that spot, one of the top 6 for the super final. But if they can move up, they're going to do it because it's the best run format counts. Look at that, so perfect right there. Kenan Harkin, the first rider ever do a 360 backflip on 2 wheels over at Woodward East many years ago, and now we're seeing it in the slopestyle event going around, spotting the landing. So his first score is going to come in, it's going to be 74.67, going to currently be sitting in 6th place with 4 riders down and 8 more to go.
Here we go, Paul Coudair, the young Frenchman. He had some troubles at the feast stops in the past, but he really got that run he was looking for in Montpellier. Let's see if he can do it as well here in China. 360 bar spin on that step down, followed by backflip double bar spin.
Yeah, Coudair bringing it around, getting the feet on the pedals. You see no problems with that pump here. It comes down to the last jump.
That was a 360, I don't even know if that was an opposite. No, that was a regular 360 double whip, but couldn't quite tell if that was an opposite cork 720, but he is elated with that one, you can see. We'll have to watch the replays.
Yeah, he definitely should be. Last year at this event, he got 2nd place, so he wants to be in that top spot here in Chengdu. And you mentioned in Montpellier, he actually got 9th place, where we're used to seeing him on top of the podium, and he knows that he got a good, solid first run. So let's look at the 360 bar spin. That is such a big drop. You could see, even with the suspension fork, how much force is coming down on the bikes.
Yeah, and then there you go into that 360 double tail whip, which was all regular. And and that was an opposite cork 720 finishing it off. Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, Ryan, when you say opposite, that's such a big trick out there. You might see some riders doing that off-axis spin, but in the other direction, the difficulty goes up through the roof, and hopefully that his score will reflect the increase in challenge.
You know, this is something that we're noticing a lot in the last couple of years in mountain bike slopestyle. If we compare it to BMX, you don't notice too often where athletes are throwing these opposite tricks. I think with the diversity and being able to choose your line selection on a park course versus on a dirt slopestyle course, you don't have too much variation. So the riders have really taken to saying, okay, now let's perfect our opposite variation. So they're really starting to throw tons of these tricks into the run. Here's score coming in, an 88.67. Paul Coudair is on top, and he is stoked.
Yeah, so we've got a new leader right there. We are working through 5 riders down as we take a look to the Eagles perch. Up high, Lucas Hippert getting ready to roll. The Swiss rider, you can see him eyeballing up, getting in the zone out there. Again, so much of it is taking what we thought was impossible at one point in time to do on 2 wheels in slopestyle and making it a reality. Take a look at his brake cable right there. You could actually see that is pre-coiled right there. Maybe that's a little bit of a preview, knowing that he's going to either be doing tail whips or bar spins around once he takes the course.
You know, that's a nice thing that we can do with the mountain bikes, having hydraulic brakes.
Ooh. Really smooth, but still throws the pedals in.
Wow.
Double tail whip on the backflip.
Wow, going for broke right there. Huge trick right out of the gate.
Yeah, that's known as the helicopter. When you kick that back wheel around 2 times, the difficulty goes up because your feet are flailing around trying to keep that rotation going with the upper body. He did have some difficulty putting his feet on the pedals. I wasn't sure if he was going to maybe try to just get on any way possible and jump that hip because you don't need as much speed. But let's take a look. The 360, you see him catch it and go for an X-up. He didn't get the full rotation on the handlebars, bringing it back.
It almost looked like his cables got tangled up, but wow, really going for that helicopter right there.
And you could see the foot placement wasn't there. And that hip, that's the one with the steeper landing where you have to be very precise in order to spot it and go. These other landings are big, but they have a high margin of error because they are a lot more mellower than you'd maybe find in a traditional BMX course, which is awesome when it comes to tricks because it enables that progression that you were talking about. Well, we got the big boy from the USA, the Mongoose rider, up on deck. We got Josh Holt. I am very proud to say that many years ago, I was actually his instructor for BMX back at Woodward East. Wow. And right now we are seeing a 360 bar spin for Josh.
Wow, going into a backflip double bar spin, holding his line into that front flip, not getting the amplitude he wanted, but still managing to have perfect transition. Nice tail whip on that hip and a 360 downside tail whip finishing it off.
Yeah, I like the way that he floated perfectly to pedals. So just to make this clear, Ryan, over 20 years ago, I was actually Josh's instructor and camp counselor for BMX. You know how cool this is? At Woodward East in Pennsylvania. And yes, as a young teen, he was an enormous boy then. And he just had this passion that came to riding even when he was 13 years old that you could just tell he was going to be a lifer. And obviously by competing out here in Chengdu over 20 years later, he is definitely committed.
He's showing off that the silver mustache over there.
So take a look, backflip, bar spin 2 times going around. And then here's a look over that front flip. You see the way he's able to put his body to just get set up right. And then watch the way he floats to the pedals. That was great style right there. He just literally let his bike come around to him and met it right in the middle and put his feet down on the pedals. So a 69.33. Josh is going to have a lot of room to move up, but it's always good to put in one score where you at least complete your run. But this is the best run format that counts. I'm going to say it till we're blue in the face because that is a game changer out here.
Exactly. Braden Barrett-Hay from Canada out here doing things in the full face. Not used to seeing Braden rocking this one.
Yeah, well, a lot of riders know that in 2018 you got to bring your A game, and look at this, stepping things up with a no-handed 360.
Yeah, big backflip no-foot can. He's showing some variation in these tricks. Just popping a 360. Tuck no hander. Looks like maybe that wasn't exactly what he was going for. Nice 360 Superman Sea Crab Indian Air for Braden Barrett-Hay.
Wow. So Ryan, it's so cool. I come a little bit more from a BMX background. You're definitely more of a mountain bike background, right? But we've seen the sports in a lot of ways blend over the years, right?
Yeah.
We talk about Alex Dropsy, one of our judges. He's definitely a BMX legend, but now he's definitely in our slopestyle. So you're seeing all these tricks come together, and it's cool seeing something like that 360 Superman Sea Crab, which was originally done by Jay Miron in a BMX freestyle over a box jump, and now we're seeing that blending style come together on the larger wheels out here.
Yeah, and that's a really hard trick to actually perfect. It's so difficult to be able to get that catch and the rotation perfect every time, be able to get back onto the bike. It's a lot easier to do the Indian Air than to do just a normal Superman Sea Crab, but Braden has been working super hard at getting that one in the books. His score coming in there, probably not exactly what he wanted, a 66.67, but he had some improvements. I saw him talking about that over there to his friends after his run. I know he's going to see things going on. Look at this. Thomas Lemois, one of the top predominant French riders, has some matching dreadlocks to that helmet.
Ooh, big 360 tail coming in. There was no pedals taken. Big height. Wow. Let's just talk about the style from the dreaded rider out there. Front flip with an invert, no hander to bar spin, and there's no pedals.
Perfect. Oh, I'm going into that backflip double tail. Perfect landing. Absolutely amazing from Thomas Lemois.
Wow, you can tell Thomas is definitely psyched, and listen to the crowd cheering him on. It's got to be a good feeling to not only put down a big run with big tricks, but the thing I want to highlight, there was a lot of moments where not only did he go higher than the other riders out there, but there was also spots where pedals were not taken, and that basically means that you're landing very smooth, very in control, and able to keep the momentum rolling.
I have not seen that hair. It's been a while since I've seen Lemois. 360 whip off of that drop in, and then check this. 360 tuck no hander into a bar spin. He was a little offline, had a pedal to get back on course there, but then set up for this huge front flip unturned down. Absolutely amazing style out of the Frenchman.
Now watch over that last set, the backflip double tail whip, but there were no pedals before or after the hip. A lot of other riders were taking them in. I have a feeling this might shake things up in a 93.33.
Wow.
We've got ourselves a brand new leader.
And the contest has started. Thomas Lemois is on top. A very well-deserved score right there for the Frenchman.
Well, 3 more riders remain. These were our top 3 qualifiers from our semifinal.
Going into a man who knows how to deliver under pressure. Paul Genovese from BC, Canada.
Genovese got a 6th last year at the same competition. Tail whip coming in, backflip Superman Sea Crab. So cool the way he just hung off the back end of the bike. Triple tail whip, 1, 2, 3 times around, but he keeps going even though he had difficulty on the landing.
And still being able to finish that run is going to award him some good points with the judges. That was a huge trick to get off mid-set. Tossing a triple tail whip on a mountain bike, like we talked about wheel dimensions and frame sizes, it's just a lot more girth to throw around. It's almost like having 2 BMX bikes when you take about the consideration of how difficult it is to spin this around with the wind. A huge difficulty to throw that triple whip mid-set. It would be nice if Paul can clean that up and make sure that he has a smooth run for number 2, but still an amazing set to finish off.
Let's take a look at some of the highlights. Tail whip coming down. You see the way that he kicks his back wheel off that kicker, and Superman Sea Crab.
Huge extension.
Great extension right there, because he also just puts his feet, which would be technically skyward, but since he's upside down, they're pointing to the earth. And there's a look at the triple tail whip. Full commitment, his feet came off, but he was able to put them back on. And because that hip isn't as far, he was able to jump even without that. So his score is going to be a 64.67. We know that Genovese has a lot more tricks in his bag to move on up.
And we talk about the sports meshing, where we talk about BMX and mountain bike, but as well you see there with that Superman Sea Crab flip, FMX is as well a huge influence for these riders. But Lucas Knopf starting off big there, 360 double bar spin into a huge front flip. Looked like he went a bit too far on that.
Lucas got 1st place last year. He's our defending CHENGDU champ. Let's see what it's going to be. Ooh, great three-hit combination. 360 tail whip to that bar spin. A lot going on in one jump.
Wow.
So this time last year, he got top honors. Lucas came in first place. That means that he's got the goods to deliver under pressure. But this was a solid run right here. Anytime a rider can obviously make it through, they're going to get one score that they should be somewhat happy with. But let's take a look at some of the madness as he does the 360 double bar spin. The thing I want to note, the cadence on the bars was just so smooth and consistent, even though he touched his hands on it, to just have full control into the front flip.
And then here's that double tail whip pushing forward into the hip. And look at how quick he gets that bar spin off right before he was landing.
Yeah, you can see that power right there after the tail whip to put his hands back on. But will it be enough to jump in that top spot where we saw him from 2017?
I don't think so, but it is going to be a good score. Let's see what it is. An 82.33. Not good enough for the top, but good enough for fourth place, Lucas Kaname.
Well, when we mention the top, you want to mention our next rider, who is our top qualifier in our semifinal. That means that he rode the course better than any other rider yesterday. This is Timothy Bringer, looking to bring the noise and bring the energy for his first run of two in our freestyle slopestyle pro final. Score to beat is a 93.33. Timothy knows that he's got to bring the energy and consistency, especially on our landings.
Starting off here, let's see, backflip bar spin to tuck no hander, big three-trick combination, and that cash roll mid-set.
Bar spin having some difficulty, but looking to bring it. 360 triple bar spin. Awesome ender right there. Now, Ryan, you mentioned midsection for that cash roll. That's a trick that you normally see done on the last jump because it's so risky to do. You actually do a 180, a backflip, and then a 180 around. So it's basically going on all axes, but it's so hard to get that rotation. And if you land that mid-pack and still have to focus on the next double, it definitely increases your difficulty. So here's a backflip bar spin to no-hander. Look at the height right there. That's another thing we want to add. Timothy definitely boosting and blasting a little bit higher than every other rider, but there's a perfect execution on that cash roll. And there's a 360 triple bar spin, fully in control, throwing the handlebars around.
Wow, big run, but a big score underneath there. Thomas Lemoine, the other Frenchman to beat, on top right now with a 93.33. We're waiting to see our top qualifier, Timothy Bringer, if he is able to rival his countrymen and get on top. It's not going to be enough. 77 even, good enough for 6th place, but as well a spot in the Super Finals.
So as you see right now, all 12 riders took a run out there. We are going to then go back to the top where each rider is going to have their second opportunity. The score to beat is going to be a 93.33, but our top 6 riders will actually make it to the super final where they'll have a third run. And what that basically means is it's like a bonus. So your scores will count that you have from your first and second run, whichever is the highest, but that third run will almost be a bonus. So our riders are getting ready to go and getting ready to drop.
So starting off here with run number 2. I think we're gonna have standings. Let's take a look at how it racked up after run number 1. Thomas Lemoine on top with the 93.33. Paul Coudair, so the 2 Frenchmen up top. Victor Douane in 3rd place. Lucas Knopf, Simon Pagès. Timothy Bringer, our 1st place qualifier, just rounding up the top 6. Those are the spots you want to watch to make it into the super final. That's where the athletes get another chance, basically a bonus run to either better their score or not. Let's take a look back and see the winning, or so far, the 1st place run from Thomas Lemoine. Check it out. Things starting off big for the Frenchman right here with that 360 tail whip out of the drop-in, but getting even bigger as he progressed. 360, tuck no hander to bar spin, and that beautiful style in that front flip. unturned down. The tuck no handed to bar spin on that hip and finishing off big right there.
With the backflip double tail whip. Now, Ryan, big is definitely the word of that run. There was the height, there was the speed and style, but landing so smooth on each one of those jumps. You saw that he was in control. He set up perfectly for the next one. That gave him the height that he was looking for. And that is why he is sitting in that top spot with a 93.33. But I know you got yourself a smartphone. You can follow us, so simple, on Instagram or Twitter at Feast World Series. It is that easy. You can check out all of our past content, not only from our series up to Chengdu, China, on our YouTube. It's so simple, just FISE. You can follow us along on Facebook, feast.official, or if you want to throw down any of those hashtags while you're checking it out, it's hashtag Feast World or hashtag FWS 2018.
You want to follow Simon Pages as well. He's very adamant on social media, but let's follow this second run. 360 bar spin out of the gate.
Whoa, floating tail whip super high. There was no pedals, but it looks like...
I don't know if he got blown there or if he just got thrown off during that whip. I'll see in his facial expression afterwards.
So we talk about the best run format, and sometimes if a rider does not get set up for a jump, they might wind up pulling off saying, you know what, I'm happy either with my first run score or I know it's not going to be enough to wind up progressing. So there was the 360 bar spin. That was a big drop, and let's take a look. The tail whip comes around.
Yeah, looked like he got blown right there.
And he actually kicked that with his front foot. He wound up bringing back. A lot of our riders have the ability to kick the frames both ways. It's almost hard to call opposite or regular these days. But it's obviously going to be his first score, 79. So he's still sitting just inside the top 6 that will make it to our super final. Well, a man who is looking to move up, Tom Eisted, 41.67, currently sitting in 11th. The UK's knows that he's got to pull something big here to move up. Tom got 5th last year in Chengdu, a 6th in Montpellier. That means he's got the big tricks to match this big course. Giving the thumbs up.
Thomas said had a huge run planned. You could totally see, but had to pull the eject button on the last jump. Let's see if he pulls it together on the second attempt.
Off-axis flip into a Superman backflip, kicking the heels together. Aha. That is frustrating right there, but you could hear the crowd showing the appreciation for Tom.
Oh, that's an upset.
Yeah, definitely, indeed. As you said, he had the big tricks. He went for that double flip in his first run. You still could see some of the dirt on his clothes from that crash. Let's look at run number 2.
So having a bit of frustration there. Let's see what happened. That backflip Superman looked like he got back, maybe slipped the pedal. I don't know, it looked quite perfect. So now I can't tell. I mean, it's just a guessing game at this point for us. We're either trying to see if something was wrong there or if it's at the wind. Look onto the right-hand side of your screen right there. That black banner, it's blowing quite heavily to viewers left right now. That is going to be a big problem for the athletes. It looks for me like Simon Pages and Thomas said were both a little blown from the wind, which means that they're gusting a tiny bit to riders' right.
Yeah, the elements out here are such a big part, but right now we are seeing Victor just trying to visualize his run. Let's see if he's able to put together with his mind out on the course. Ooh, 360 bar spin with the X up, front flip, spinning the bars around.
Twice, I believe, on that one.
All right, setting up right here over the hip. Looks like that didn't go his way, but on the last double, yeah. So that is going to be a little bit of difficulty right there. You saw he was going for the big guns, trying to rotate those handlebars around multiple times on the 360 and the backflip. But each one of these hits are so important out here. Not only do you have this big drop off, look at that 360 bar spin, spinning the handlebars, landed so smooth, went around, bar spin, And then I believe that was a toboggan or a one-handed X-up attempt right there and brought it back after the bar spin. Another rider that landed extremely smooth right there and then did not do a trick on the second jump. So I'm wondering if your theory about this wind out here, Ryan, is definitely playing a factor. We know that slopestyle normally takes place out in Mother Nature where there's the elements. It's so cool that Feast and Hurricane brought this course together in an urban environment, but you are jumping so high and coming down that wind could definitely be a factor. With the big bikes out here, it could act like a sail while you're sky high.
You know, talking about Feast, bringing it to an urban parkland as well. CHENGDU, it's known as the land of abundance because it has an amazing set of natural resources. So this is one of the most naturally set parks in China. But wow, look at that cork 720 from Alex Elanco. Let's get back to the riding action. Backflip, tail whip right there into a nice tail up over the hip. Perfect landing on that one. A 360 triple bar spin for Elanco.
That was a big run right there. Elanco is psyched, putting the hands up. Little fun fact about that 360 triple bar spin. First rider to ever do that on a mountain bike was Chris Duncan. He was one of the first riders to transition from BMX into mountain biking in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Definitely remember Chris Duncan shredding on the KHS bikes, I believe.
So let's look at this big run. Things I want to highlight, not only is that 360 bar spin landing high, but look at the full pull and commitment. Body is completely twisted and tweaked. You can see the way that in order to get the rotation, he just straightens out perfectly. Through that pedal in, even though he might not have needed it, we saw some of the other riders had the difficulty on that second double. So he put the pedal down, clearly cleared it, and then on that last one, the 360 triple bar spin. So the score to beat is a 93.33. Elanco's first run was a 74.67. He was sitting in 7th. Hopefully this will be enough to move up into one of the top 6 spots to qualify for that super final.
You were mentioning there how contoured he gets on that cork 720. I really love it, actually, how some of the mountain bikers contort their whole body and really shows you how much they're trying to get that rotation around. When you're coming off a jump so big like this and you have to gain as much speed and momentum and try and go as straight forward as you can, sometimes you're spinning after you get off the takeoff. Yeah. So this is something that you notice right in that contortion.
Yeah, that is, you know, and then you also have the style factor, right? That is always really cool when a rider can not only do it with their own signature style, but also just completely tweak it out. So we are waiting for our scores to come in, and sometimes when the judges take a moment, that means that we've got a big score, and we have a second rider in the 90s. So Elanco bumping up into that second spot right there. That means that he is pretty safe at saying he's going to be in that super final. But anything can happen when we got our format of best run counts. Our riders are going for that full pull, and they're going for difficulty that is way more increased as opposed to an overall impression.
And a rider who had a very solid first run, Paul Coudair, who is standing in that hot seat for a little while. He just got bumped into 3rd place. Let's see if he can answer back. Backflip 1 foot can right there. Looks like he's taking it easy on this one. Gonna play it safe.
Yeah, Coudair right here on the last double, smooth 3, just lofting. Another one of those guys that spins no problems both directions out there. Coudair, as you said, he has an 88.67 from his first run. Looks like he's going to wind up saving it for the super final. But you talked about this, Ryan. That next super final is almost like a bonus run. So all of these could technically count. But we're dealing with some of the elements and the wind, and if you don't get the trick exactly the way that you want, you might wind up waiting to try to put it together in your next run. So there's the 360 coming down, no pedaling at all. Backflip, I believe that was a candy bar. Oh, can, excuse me. Stepping over the top tube. A candy bar would have been over the handlebars.
Had a bit of a hard time in the first run.
And a nice opposite 360, but just a fun run right there for Paul. Definitely holding back on that one. He's going to play it safe and say, okay, I'm going to save it for the super finals. Now he's kind of gambling with this one because there are some riders who could bump him out, but that would mean 3 riders have to get above an 88, and that's pretty unlikely if you look at how stats work. But we have a massive packed field, and Lucas Huppert from Switzerland He's going to try his luck at this one. Luca is currently sitting at the bottom of the pack with a 30.67. He can definitely answer back a lot higher than in his first run.
Yeah, Ryan, you talk about scores. We do have 2 riders who have not had a chance to get the full runs in there, and Lucas being one of them. So if he makes it through, that is going to shake up the pack, because his first one was a 30.67. You can see he's potentially waiting there for the opening of the wind, looking over at the flag. But Lucas coming in, 360 bar spin. Nice nosedive right there.
Ooh, big cork 720 right there, having to get a bunch of pedals in to get that double tail whip off.
Bar spin double time over the hip, and then, whoa, great combination right there. 360 bar spin to downside tail whip. That was a big 3-move trick right there. You're putting them all together inside that 360. So Lucas getting a full. You can see the smile on his face. He's definitely psyched. The score to beat is a 93.33, but for the super final, it is still going to be a 79 or higher a rider is going to need. But Lucas getting that big first run in.
Yeah, that was actually a very solid run to get back in under pressure, coming off from the very bottom of the starting list.
Now look at that nosedive. He landed so smooth, and it seems to be not only the big tricks on that off-axis 720, 360 flip, somewhere in between. It's all about the smooth landings. He had a little difficulty there. Again, we talk about the wind being a potential factor. Put the pedals in, able to clear it, and then got that 360 bar spin to downside tail whip.
That was a great looking run. Definitely going to be difficult for the judges. Right now on that bubble seat, the 6th place right now, it is going to be, I believe, Lucas Knopf. And now Lucas Hooper just moved into 5th place right there, bumping Lucas Knopf into 6th and Simon Pages out of the running for the super final.
Well, 6 more riders remain, and a rider looking on the outside wanting to be in is none other than Josh Holt, currently in 9th, 69.33. We know he is a big boy with some big tricks to match. Let's see Josh Holt on our step down. Yes, very smooth right there, 360 double bar spin, this time in a backflip with the 2 handlebar rotations and a front flip. So far, this is a big run for Holt. Can he keep it going? Tail whip to the pedals. Josh Holt, yo, going for the 360 downside double tail whip, having some difficulty putting the feet back on the pedals, but if you're going to complete the trick, you want to be able to at least roll away, and that is something that Holt did.
Damn it, so close.
This is going to be a very difficult one for the judges to determine, because he had some difficulty on that last jump. And when you're dealing with our competition out here at a gold event, you definitely have to make sure that you're close to that precision and being perfect. But let's look at the 360 2-bar spins, lands on the landing, straightens out for the backflip with the 2-bar spins. Here's from another perspective, throws in the pedal, the front flip, spotting the landing, no problems at all there. And there's a look at the downside double 360 tail whip. Not able to get his feet all the way onto the pedals, but we've seen a lot of riders blow up on that trick, and thankfully he was able to cruise away.
Josh Holt's score coming in. It's not going to be enough to improve on his first run score, so he is going to hold in 9th place position, respectively, right there. Braden Barrett-Hay, next rider up in deck, sitting right now in 10th position, all the way from Canada, coming out here to beautiful Chengdu, China.
Which means we got 3 more runs to go.
It's gonna have to just wait for the judges to get in position as well. Could be looking for the wind right there, making sure everything is okay. You see his t-shirt gusting a tiny bit. This is a big factor when...
Yeah, you can just tell, putting the arms out, feeling the wind. Look at that flag you mentioned, Ryan. That is just blowing in the wind. Gusting, so a lot of times the riders will look for that opening. When there's an inconsistency in the wind, it's almost a little bit more difficult than a consistent stream of wind where you can overcompensate or undercompensate how far it's blowing. But if it's side wind or a head-on, it could definitely make it more difficult to get over the jumps.
Oh, going for that 360 tuck no hand and not getting the tuck. Big backflip no foot Ken. Let's see if he has it. Oh, going for that 360 Superman. Oh. Going down hard.
Let's hear it for Brennan Barney. Please come on, CHENGDU.
Yeah. Turn bar to can't get right there. That's been always constant.
Thankfully back up on his feet, but that is a very hard crash. These jumps, even though they're dirt, they are packed like concrete out there. You can see a little bit of frustration, a little bit of pain, and a lot of adrenaline. A little bit of rider camaraderie, getting a pound of support from Josh Holt out there. Let's take a look. There was that 360 no-handed attempt you talked about.
And then he went 360, I'm sorry, backflip, no foot can. Very difficult trick to actually stay back there and get back onto the bike. He was going for the 360 Superman C-grab Indian, didn't quite get it there, and then punched the ground. You can see.
Well, you mentioned his helmet earlier. Thankfully, he was rocking that full face right there. It was able to take some of that blow. You could see the visor wound up going down, but you also could just see the carnage from that dirt-like concrete out there.
So our current leader right now, sitting with almost that flawless score, the 93.33, the only rider to break past the 90 even mark, Thomas Lemois, sitting on top right now. Let's see what he pulls off on the second run. Is he gonna just take it easy for the super? Nope. 360 whip.
Ooh, good style right there. 360 unturned down to bar spin into a cash roll. Oh, he was definitely not taking anything easy.
Check a huge smile on Lemois' face. You can just see he is definitely on a riding level that he is comfortable with.
Look at this, just throwing in some tricks, having a good time out there. Yeah, so you talked about his first run being that 93.33, currently in that top spot. That is going to mean he will qualify for the super final, but we talk about all scores being important that can count towards your final score. So he was not resting on his laurels. 360 tail whip on that big drop. Look at the style, 360 unturned down to a bar spin, able to tweak his legs out to the side, doesn't twist the handlebars, that's why it's called an unturned down, and then winds up throwing them, and you can see that cash roll attempt, doesn't get that spin around. We talked about it early, that's usually riders under-rotate that one, and then wound up doing an exit stage right there. So obviously his first score, the 93.33, will be that top one, and he is sitting solid in that first place with 3 whole points from our second rider of Alex Elanco.
Yeah, and very comfortable as well as we push into that super final. Remind you that it is probably going to be in reverse seating order, so Thomas being in that first place, he would be able to have a chance to watch all riders go before him and see what he needs to do if he needs to better his score being pushed out of first place. Moving forward though, second run here going for Paul Genovese, who is now currently sitting in 11th place with not the score he wanted. Had an absolutely massive extended Superman C-grab backflip, one of the best extensions I've ever seen in the sport. Let's check out if he can pull this one together. Tail whip off the step down. Huge backflip Superman C-grab again, holding it together.
Double tail whip, I stand corrected, triple coming around, able to just eke over that hip. Putting down some pedals, putting in the work for a Superman C-grab, kicking the legs for the style points right there. So Genovese having some difficulty on the triple tail whip, but the fact that hip has that steep landing, you don't need as much speed, but you need the precision. He wound up cheating the hip a little bit, as we say, not jumping the full distance. And when you do that, you cut the corner, you don't have the full momentum in order to hit that next jump. So Genovese, as you were saying, was currently sitting in 10th with a 64.67. The question is, with all those pedals that put in and a little bit of difficulty, will it be enough to move up at all? Let's take a look, though. Here's the tail whip coming in. You see that he winds up kicking that frame around. Really great how he put his weight forward, even on the step down. There's that extension, this time tweaked a little bit further on the Superman C-grab.
He gets best trick, at least in my books. That was an amazing extension, just totally reminiscent of freestyle motocross.
Now watch the pedals. He had trouble putting them on. He wasn't even able to get a full pedal in over that hip. He cheated the corner, and he needed to be in the 80s.
And Paul, no, not going to move up, staying in 11th spot there. 64.67 first run score is going to be the one that he gets today. Moving forward to our German slopestyle rider, Lucas Knopf, 82.33. He's currently sitting on the bubble for the super finals. Let's see if he can deliver something a bit better. 360 double bar spin starting it off.
Into a no-handed front flip. Look at the style and charge. Putting his feet back on, getting for the hip with the bar spin, showing that he's still in control. 360 tail with the pedals. Lucas out there dominating the first couple hits, having a little difficulty, but still able to keep her rolling. We mentioned that last year he was our first place finisher. Montpellier, he was just outside of Podium where he got a 4th place. So we know that he's got that power and determination, and we saw that on the first couple of jumps for Lucas. Ryan, we know that it's going to really just take that full pull of putting all the elements together, not only the big tricks, but the confidence on those landings. If you can stomp it very powerfully to keep that momentum in a straight line. These are big landings with the side wind and headwind coming on. It slows down a rider, and when they're not as steep like this, you could get a little bit off axis. And look right now at the confidence. Lands the 360 double bar spin, the front flip with the no-hander and the height thrown in. That is great. Lands down, quick pedal, 360 bar spin to tail. Super difficult trick, but now look at the landing.
And check this one, finishing it off. I was thinking he was going for something a little more. On the last jump there, he did 360 whip to bar spin very, very late. And no, it's not going to be good enough to improve that first run score, the 82.33. I guess the points are really deducted after he didn't quite get that landing before the hip.
So what this means, he's still on that potential spot for the super final, but only one rider remains. It would have been nice if he had a higher score because he would have moved up, but he is going to be biting his nails as we get ready to bring in our next rider who has a 77, and he knows that he's going to have to bump Knopf's score of an 82.33 off. We're talking about none other than Timothy Bringer, who is dropping in for his second run.
Let's not forget this was your first place qualifier. Oh, wow, backflip double tail whip right there into a cash roll.
This is a huge run right now. Bar spin to bar spin, catches it clean, no pedals. I stand corrected, takes one for a triple. Bar spin, 360. That was a big run. That could be a potential game changer. You talked about him being our top qualifier yesterday, so he has it for the big scores. You can see Bringer is psyched right there, the smile under that full face helmet.
I had to take a look back at that replay. He did, I believe he did a helicopter, a backflip double tail up off that first straight jump, but he did it so quickly, it seemed like just a normal flip whip to me. Maybe I called that wrong, but we'll have to check out right here in the replay.
No, it's just he landed so smooth, and he had the height, came around two times.
Oh no, it was just a... Oh, it was.
That was
wow.
double. And the reason you're saying that is because he did it so controlled. He almost had time for another one thrown in if he wanted to.
Could have done a bar spin easily.
Most riders can flail their legs and barely get it around. And Bringer right here just showing you that he's doing these really difficult tricks with ease. That's how he was able to set up for that cash roll. So the score to beat is at 93.33, held on by Thomas Limon. And we're going to see if Bringer can bump into that top spot, but at a minimal, go into the top 6 to qualify him for the super final.
Definitely, I'm going to say he's going into the super final with a run like that. Absolutely amazing bangers going down that whole entire front section, as well finishing off so strong with that triple bar spin 360. We're going to have to see where the judges put him in a 91.33, second place for Bringer. The two Frenchmen on top of the box right now.
That is huge. 3 riders in the 90s, Bringer being one of them. That is so cool to see. So as we wind up working through our second runs, we have our super final coming up, which will be our top 6 riders. But Ryan, let's just talk a little bit about those last 2 runs. As far as the judges, we mentioned we have our Grant Fielder, Alex Dropsy, Nicholas Berthet, and Paul Rack out there who are looking for our riders. What would you say kind of the standouts as far as being in that top 6, that the criteria?
Well, for me, it would be Thomas Lemoine. I think he had a perfect combination of huge trick difficulty, but mashed with a very beautiful free style. And that means that he put in his own expression and his own character, just like he puts into his dreadlocks and his colorful pants, put into his riding style on course. And I think that's difficult to do when you're not able to really necessarily express different line selection. So I think overall, he had that amazing section of tricks, but as well had such oozing style into his run. I really like that one. That's a highlight for me.
Yeah, I agree with you right there. That unique style. You talk about this being one run where you're not able to get the different options. Some runs you choose a left line, a right line, the center line, etc. But because this is the one straight, that is important. But let's take a look at our standings.
So right now we got that 93.33, but only 2 points behind his Frenchman. So Thomas Lemoine on top, Bringer in second place, Elanco third, Coudair fourth, Duan fifth, and rounding up that super finals with the Swiss rider Lucas Huppert in sixth place with an 84.67. After that, seventh Lucas Knopf, Simon Pages eighth, Josh Holt, Braden Barrett-Hay, Paul Genovese, and Thomas said rounding up your finalists right there. We're going to be moving into the super final. That means it's a bonus round. These riders get a chance to better their score. It's not going to hinder their score if it does not improve it, but they have the ability to get one last run in. That means these top 6 riders get a third attempt on course to battle it out and see who gets a spot on the podium.
Yeah, Ryan, I'm going to just finish that thought we were talking about. You mentioned that big style out there with the tricks, but I'm going to put an emphasis on the landings. I have a feeling that that is going to be a definite game changer as far as the scores go in our super final. And if we wind up taking a look at some of the runs, not only the tricks that we wind up seeing of our top qualifiers, but if we wind up looking at their landings, it's that confidence. Last year, I remember being here with you when Lucas Knopf took that first place. He had that confidence when he landed, able to push through. And when I talk about that, it's a rider stomping the 2 wheels down nice and smooth and able to know they're going to take off without the pedal. So right now we are looking at the top runs. This is Alex Elanco. So that was the second run of Alex Elanco out there. Here is Timothy Bringer. 360 bar spin, and that was the confidence, especially on that backflip double tail whip. So you mentioned it as far as being the style and the tricks, but there are no pedals there in between either of those sets. There's the bar spin, and then that pedal wasn't done because he was feeling squirrely or out of control. You saw that he confidently pumped that waterfall going down, or as you like to say, the whale's tail, and then got the 360 bar spin. But this is our top finisher in our final, going into our super final, and there's the height, there's the style, but there is the confidence as well. The front flip with that invert, pumping up over the hip, no-hander to bar spin, very smooth, and here we go, backflip double tail whip coming around, and again, it's the confidence in the landings right there.
And I have to say as well, finishing off so strong with that helicopter on the last hit. You notice that that's maybe the least amount of amplitude that you have out of all the jumps on course, and he did one of the most difficult tricks, something that you really need a ton of amplitude for. So that's as well a huge point that the judges took into consideration for that first big run score from Thomas Lemoine.
Yeah, it's so cool that we have out here all of our riders, but now this is the big moment we're waiting for, the super final.
So it's going to go in reverse seating order of the top 6. That means 6th place right now, Lucas Huppert into 5th place, Victor Duan 4th, Paul Coudair 3rd, Alex Elanco 5th, Timothy Bringer, and 6th, Thomas Lemoine. So that's reverse seating order, 1st to 6th. That means Lucas Huppert is starting 1st. He's on top of the gate right there, waiting to drop in.
Now, Ryan, this could come down to a little bit of strategy as well. A rider could know, hey, how much do I have to put in if you're going towards the end of the group? If you're riding first, you might put it all on the line, and it's that balance of risk versus reward. The more difficult your tricks are, the more that you could potentially crash and not wind up getting that score. But if, let's say, a rider before you goes and you know, hey, I got to bring it and go to uncharted territory for my riding, or maybe just in general for slopestyle, we could potentially see that out here.
Lucas Huppert has the focus on right now.
Focus indeed, 360. There's the bar spin, looking for the X up. No pedals for that backflip to tail whip. Throwing in a quick one as he does a 360 double tail whip. Oh!
Just going down right there, Lucas.
thankfully giving the double thumbs up, getting the crowd cheering on Lucas. We talk about how packed this dirt is. I mean, it is basically concrete out there. A little bit of rider support. Thankfully had that elbow pad on, which looks like it took a lot of the brunt force right there. Thumbs are going up. That is always a good sign, especially when the rider walks off the course and is able to give that thumbs up.
We're definitely noticing some wind picking up out here in the venue, however, so I was wondering, checking out that banner right there, maybe he did get a little blown. Nah.
Yeah, I mean, it almost looked like the bike wound up landing a little bit off to the side where his weight would have been not above the tires. Tried, throwing it in and going down really hard, just showing you how tough of a rider he is. Thankfully, okay. So Lucas, obviously that is not going to be his top score of the day.
No, and unfortunate, but this is where it's not hurting a rider. I mean, it is best run counts, of course, so out of the entire 3 runs, Lucas is going to stick with his previous score, keeping him right now in that 6th position.
That's one to watch. His name is Victor Du.
So 5 riders remain of our super final. I got to tell you, Ryan, this course is so cool. The fact that it's constructed in an urban environment, literally just minutes outside of city center in Chengdu. To see the juxtaposition of the buildings in the background being nestled in the park out here, it's such a cool comparison of the two, and you just have the opposing Mother Nature with the urban environment nestled in this park out here, and the fans are just really enjoying the fact that we have our Slopestyle mountain biking out here. So we've got 5 more riders remain. As you said, it is reverse order. Victor Dohan, 86. He's going to try to move up. Podium or better would basically be in the 90s. We talked about the strategy that could come down. He knows it's going to be a big one to wind up moving up.
Victor Duan right there. I think they are waiting for the wind. As you saw some other shots of the flags blowing a little bit. The riders do get as long as they want to wait. Make it a safe environment for them to drop in. But Victor looks like he is ready to go.
Here we go, Victor. There you go. Nice 360 bar spin with the X up into the front flip double bar spin. Ryan, that was super smooth.
Going into a double flip. Victor is on one right there, but not getting the trick off the hip right there is going to hinder him. But a huge cash roll. Victor Duan, 3 hit bangers right in that run.
Yeah, you can see the smile under that mouthpiece right there. That was a big run. As you said, he didn't get the trick over the hip, but I don't know if he was necessarily looking to throw one. Obviously, if you could put one on every single set, but he set up for that cash roll and was able to get it around. We talk about that being a difficult trick to get the full rotation. A lot of riders land back wheel heavy or wind up washing out, landing on one of their hips to whichever side the spin is coming. But Victor had no problems with the cash roll. Let's look at the madness. That was a 360 with a full X up out of the bar spin, and here is perfect execution on the 2 bar spins coming around. You see landing up high, getting the pedals in, and a double backflip. That is full commitment right there. And then there's that cash roll that he winds up getting around. Lands a little bit back wheel heavy up on the top, but when you're doing that 180 backflip 180, that can definitely be overlooked. So the score to beat is a 93.33. His score earlier in the contest was an 86 from his first run, was the highest. He is looking to move up.
And it isn't going to move him up. He is going to still stay with his 86 even, scoring an 82.33. So first run score is going to stick as well with Victor on that one. Moving forward to our current 4th place position holder right now, Paul Coudair from France. Paul had an amazing first run, was super excited with that one, an 88.67. Still has a big smile on his face. He knows that he is in a great position right now, just outside of the 90s. It's amazing. Top 3 are currently sitting in the 90s right now. We still have 1 run to go for all of them. So Paul sitting in 4th place. Let's see if he is better his score. The score to beat is that 93.33 of Thomas Lemoine, his other French countryman. So 3 athletes to go from France right now. Paul, let's see what he does. In his 2nd run, he did decide to just do a safety run, play it safe, and watch how things went out. I think that is a smart move, knowing, okay, I have position to stay into the super finals. I can watch everyone and make sure that I am healthy moving forward.
Yeah, the super final, this is where it all comes down, the energy, the culmination, because as we said, we wound up having a qualifier and a semifinal. So our riders have had some time out on the course, and this is where it all comes to a peak. We talk about the wind being the factor. The rider can wait for their opening. I know, Ryan, from our announcing perspective, you can just feel the wind blowing in. Not only is there a wind coming in, but it's also a little bit cooler than it has been the last few days. And that definitely can play a little factor on the texture of the dirt, which could work in a rider's favor. But that wind you do not want to have when you wind up riding. Well, here we go, looking for his 3rd and final run in the super final. This is Paul Coudair.
Paul Coudair right there with 360 bar spin moving forward. Definitely isn't going to get the run that he was looking for. Paul is just holding it together, having a fun run. Maybe got a little blown off there, maybe got a little offline, but he's holding with the 1st run score. Very respectable, 88.67. And none of our super finalists have moved up any and bettered any of their positions so far today.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan, one thing to note, not only do you have that bonus opportunity, as we like to call it, the super final, to get a higher score, but sometimes 2 things come into play. A rider could obviously know that they're not going to land smooth or get a higher score if they mess up. Or sometimes a rider winds up putting down a run that they're really happy with, given the course or given the conditions, and they say, you know what, I'm going to keep that for my run, even if I do qualify for the super final, and that really comes down to one or the other. So Alex Elanco, the Swede, one of the riders in the 90s, a 90.33. He is 3 full points behind our leader. You see out there, he's visualizing the jumps. He's actually using his upper body to mimic some of the tricks that he's about to do.
Elanco starting off right there. Solid 360, big backflip 1-foot can. Doesn't look like this is going to be the run that he was looking for either. So Elanco as well, holding it together, just doing a run for the crowd here. That was an opposite 360. Well, toadstool kind of 1-foot table. But yeah, just a fun ride at the trails is nice as well if these athletes are all pushing together. But then we are pushed into the 2 top Frenchmen battling it out. We're going to have to see if Timothy Bringer is going to push up his score. He is the only one now that can rival Thomas Lemoine, who is standing on top. Both of these riders are at a huge advantage with their scores, 93.33 with Thomas Lemoine, only 2 points back at 91.33 for Timothy Bringer.
Yeah, now we talk about strategy out here. We have the 2 riders that remain. And as far as if our next rider gets on the course and is not able to bring it up, so that's Timothy Bringer, then it means that Thomas Lemoine is basically going to be taking a victory lap out there. As we're looking at some of Elanco's highlights, that backflip can-can was rad. I like the way that he just stepped through and pulled up with his handlebars to get that pull. So here's a little look that we're talking about, the visual representation, a 91.33. You can see Bringer, who is going to be our next rider to go. He is the only one that can potentially dethrone Lemoine, who is sitting up in that top spot. Now, he did do this in the semifinal. This was our top qualifier.
So, Timothy Bringer starting off big right there, 360 bar spin and pushing forward that backflip double. No, and he's not going to do it. Timothy Bringer is not going to advance any higher than he did right there. You saw his foot placement was just throwing a cash roll, casual cash roll.
Whatever.
Casual cash roll, okay. And so Timothy just did not get the foot placement on that backflip double tail up. I was thinking maybe he was even wanting to do something else, like a bar spin after that.
Yeah,
double
take a
whip.
look at his handlebars when we get to the replay. I believe actually you might have been right, because you kind of called that out in his second run where he had all that speed. You almost were like, hey, did he do a single? Because he got it
so
around
much
so
height there as well,
confidently.
yes.
But the wind is definitely picking up, Ryan, and I think that's a big part of what we're seeing here in our super finals. We progress through all of our runs on the day. That element is coming in. But let's take a look at what you're talking about. This is a great nosedive on that 360 with the bar spin. And here's the backflip tail whip. And
yeah, you see with that, he tried to get the pins, but he wasn't yet back on the pedals. Didn't quite get that as solid as he did in his second run. But you know what that means? He's keeping his score with a 91.33, and only one rider remains, and that's going to be your unofficial champion out here in Chengdu. That is Thomas Lemoine, the colorful blue or turquoise and violet, let's say, dreadlock Frenchman up there.
Well, this is going to be a victory run out here, right? Let's see if he winds up putting on a little bit of a show. But when you're sitting in first place, you've got the top honors to decide what that run is going to look like. So this is what we talked about as far as strategy, having the opportunity to basically say, you know what, I'm just going to loft some 360s in my super final. Great style right there, that unturned down to no-hander. Yeah, some 1-foot moto over the hip, and a big 360 unlook down over that last double. So obviously, Ryan, that score is not going to impact or change his 93.33, which he put down in his first run.
Well, so an amazing contest of action that we have seen unfold out here today. Lemoine, that is going to be your winner.
Let's take a look right here. 360 coming on in. I believe this was his winning victory lap right here. So cool, just lofting so high. Yes, these jumps are enormous. You could just see, even on his victory run, floating through the sky higher than most other riders out there. Great style, really utilizing that hip where you have the steeper landing. It's the only feature out there that has the wooden landing and takeoff. So there is a shot at Thomas Lemoine. That is our winner. Look at that, a 93.33, 2 full points higher than our second place finisher of Bringer. Not only wild style off the bike, on the bike, but also off the bike. Look at the dreads right there, shaved sides. And that is a man who came out on top after our qualifier, our semifinals, our finals, and our super finals, the Frenchman, Thomas Lemoine.
So what were you feeling so far, Daryl, about the contest out here? It started off really strong. I mean, 12 riders, already some of the top FMB competitors in the world, which means the top professional mountain bike slopestyle athletes in the globe have come out here to test their luck in China against the crowd, and they have done an amazing job. The 12 athletes making it into the finals and pushing the sport's limit. As you saw, it was a pretty simple course for the athletes to go through, but how did you feel about the tricks?
Yeah, I mean, I think even beyond the tricks for a moment, just the fact that we're here in Chengdu and we get an opportunity to expose so many new fans to slopestyle and to mountain bike riding, it's so cool to see that in this arena, taking the natural element in an urban environment as we look at our scores for our final results.
So you see there, of course, Thomas Lemoine on top. That is your champion out here in Chengdu. We're going to have to see how it affects the rankings later on. Timothy Bringer nipping at his heels in second place there, and Alex Elanco, the Swede, pushing together to make third place. Rounding off the next, Paul Coudair, Victor Douan, Lucas Huppert, Lucas Knopp, Simon Pages, Josh Holt, Braden Barrett-Hay, Paul Genovese, and Tom Isted rounding up the finalists of the mountain bike slopestyle out here in Chengdu. And so we have a lot of other activities out here in Chengdu. More stuff happening. Let's check out and see what's going on today. We're going to push forward. We just had, of course, a mountain bike slope style finish off there. We're going to go into the UCI BMX Freestyle Park semi-finals coming up your way at 1:30, and then at 4:50, the Skateboard Pro Street Finals. So make sure you guys tune in for all this action. We have a huge event going on out here in Chengdu. It's a beautiful venue. So happy that we were welcomed back here to Chengdu. I think it's either our 5th or 6th year still doing in China. It's an amazing stop, and we love finishing off the tour here.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even matter which year, because each time we come, the fans are just so welcoming, and it's so cool that here in China, we're actually getting exposed to action sports for some of the first times, and we have our thousands of fans pouring into the venue. So that's the cool thing, even what we saw with Slopestyle. We had that environment that's usually a little bit in nature, but we brought it into urban downtown Chengdu, and to have that platform for our riders to really put on a show, that is one of the coolest things about the entire competition of Slopestyle for me.
So it's been a great show out here for the Slopestyle. Thanks so much for everyone tuning in. You guys have seen the schedule of the day as well. Make sure you guys stay tuned tomorrow. We have a ton of action coming up, but let's just take a look back and see how Thomas Lemoine ended up getting on top of the leaderboard with just his first run. Dominant French riders has some matching dreadlocks to that helmet.
Ooh, big 360 tail coming in. There was no pedals taken. Let's just talk about the style from the Bessie hander to bar spin, and there's no pedals.
Perfect. Oh, I'm going into that backflip double tail. Perfect landing. Absolutely amazing from Thomas Lemoine.
Wow, you can tell Thomas is definitely psyched, and listen to the crowd cheering him on.
So there you go. That was an amazing first run. It's so nice to be able to see a rider just get it right out of the gate. We have the podium starting down at the finish line. Let's go check out live to see what that looks like.
Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, Daniel, count 2!
All right, Fizz, World Chengdu, incredible riding out of his mountain bike, Slopestyle Pro. And here are the results. The top 3 riders for the last stop of the Fizz World Chengdu right here. 3rd place, all the way from Sweden, is Alex Elanco! Yeah, congratulations. All right. Moving on to the 2nd place, all the way from France. And that's a big surprise. It's Timothée Branger. Oh yeah. Incredible. Sitting very low in the rankings after the first run. He killed the 2nd run. And look at this 2nd place ending after the super finals. And the winner of the Fizz World Chengdu 2018 Mountain Bike Slopestyle Pro, all the way from France. Make some noise for Thomas Lemoine! Yeah, let's hear it for these guys. Make some noise. Front mountain bike, come on, Chengdu.
So amazing. Nice to see all the athletes out there cheering on for the podium. It's been a phenomenal final. Any last takes from you, Daryl?
Big ups to all of our riders, not only here, but also that are helping push slopestyle around the world. It's a big honor to have you here in Chengdu. The riding was top-notch. The course was awesome. And hat goes off to the Flying Frenchman coming in that first place position.
I just want to say a big thank you as well to obviously the city of Chengdu for welcoming us back here. A huge shout out to the organization of the FES and the FMB World Tour for pulling us together and having the top mountain bike slopestyle athletes out here in the finals. On behalf of myself, Ryan Meyer, Daryl Now, and everyone at the FES, thanks for tuning in and see you next time. Morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us out here in beautiful China. That's right, it's the 2018 FES World Series. It's the last stop on the tour in Chengdu.
Yes, y'all. Yes, y'all. Yes, y'all. Yes, y'all. Yes, y'all.
And going off the rail. No way!
Start the party. Celebrate. I'm sick of nonsense.
Finally, we're here in Chengdu.
Pick up my roll. Stress keeps building. It's about to blow. I'm coming to the end of the line. Check my watch, man.
In Chengdu, China, I mean, it's honestly amazing. Like, the crowd every year has been really supportive. You feel a great energy, and it's just a perfect home for action sports.